your wife, she brought the commissioner up too. This commissioner is much different than the last commissioner in the way that he looks at caddies and the relationship, not only between caddies and players, but caddies and the tour.
Yeah. When we learned that Jay, being Commissioner Monahan, Jay Monahan was taking over that position, everybody was excited. Not just caddies, coaches, players, media.
Media
I
members.
mean, and the deal is not just because it has nothing to do. At least it didn't have at that time the fact that he was going to be the commissioner of our tour. It was the fact that every place he had been, he had left a ripple effect of people that spoke about his integrity and about how much he cares about. It's the little guy. No matter how you look at it, we are the little guy, and I'm
Right.
fine with that. I'm fine with that. I don't do much. That's why my guy makes what he makes, and I make what I make. No, I don't. I make 7%. That's about what I deserve. I mean, that's what my responsibility is, and we are the little guy. But
ESPN, if y'all want to give me 7%, I'm just a little dude.
Good luck with that, by the way.
You know, more food for me. Kind what?
He can even grow some hair up here. Man.
I'll buy an afro if you give me 7% of what we make. Forever.
But you know, Jay, when he took over, he very quickly earned that reputation. The very first week he took over, he was over at Sony, and he came out to say hello to our group, Webb, me, and the Pro-Am guys. And after he left, by foot, not in a cart, by foot, he walked out. The Pro-Am guy said, "This is my 25th Pro-Am on the PJ Tour." And I'm like, "Dang, can I have some money?" No, okay, no, but I was like, "Really?" He goes, "It's the first time I've ever met the commissioner of the PJ Tour," and it was his first week on the job, and he came up and introduced who he was. And there's a lot of problems that we had with the old commissioner. I'm not going to go into a lot of those details. I personally had a lot of issues as well, and I was a player for a little bit on the PJ Tour and still had issues there. It's just that Jay Monahan is a perfect fit for what we need, for what this tour is all about, and we cannot be more thankful that he's the man in charge. And what he's already done for our foundation, what he did for me personally at the Players, you know, we finished on 18, and we got done and gave Michelle and Isaiah, my daughter Alexis, a kiss, and we walk off, and of course everybody's there. But my first thing is, let's go sign a correct scorecard. That's all I can think about. Is let's go sign a correct scorecard.
Caddy mentality, bro.
Mentality.
Yeah.
So like everybody's
We
kinda
still
like,
not done yet.
"Hey," and I'm like, "No, okay, great. I'm going this way." So I come out. So I think I'm going to give Michelle a quick kiss, and then just go over and make sure Webb's taken care of. And I'm doing that for about 5 minutes, and then I get a tap on my shoulder, and it's the head of PG Tour. I think maybe your relations. You might know. It's is it Chris Reimer?
Yeah.
Reimer, and he's like, "Paul, we have some seating set up for you guys up front." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, I'll try to find Michelle and Isaiah." He's like, "We already got them up there." I'm like, "Okay." So I go up there. I'm working my way up there for the awards ceremony, and there's 3 rows, and the front row originally was Commissioner Beam and Commissioner Fincham, and some of the other dignitaries. And then there's a row in front, and it's Dowd, Paul, Michelle, Isaiah, my big sister, and my little sister. They brought chairs up there for the award ceremony at the end per the commissioner of the PGA Tour.
Wow.
And to sit up there and allow my family to experience something like that, I'll never forget it for the rest of my life, because they got to sit with me, because they've been a part of everything that we go through. She's been there during the really bad times. She's been there in the good times. She's been there in the tears missing the family. She's been there through anger on doing a bad job or whatever it was, and to have them sit up there, and then my big and little sister being able to sit up there, they're very, very introverted, so it was a lot for them, but they definitely liked it. And it's those little things. And then, I have a letter stuck up on my wall, which we'll have to get a picture of beforehand. But I'm invited at some point, obviously between this year and next year, for my entire family to go have dinner with the commissioner at TPC, obviously on their dime. So 2001 insignia, commission, if you end up seeing this. Just kidding. 2002 is okay. Anyway. Anyhow, but things like that don't happen. And then to go all the way through that, with our foundation, for some reason, the players haven't ever backed our foundation, which has been a weird thing until the commissioner found out that we weren't getting backed and made a phone call or two, and voila, there you go. Now we are gonna. What's the grant for, baby?
So the grant for us for this, it'll come for next year, and then he insisted that it was backdated for this year since it was missed. He's so unique. Is for the All-Star Kids Clinic, which is one of our foundation events. One of our, I say favorite when I say everyone, it's Paul's favorite. The All-Star Kids Clinic is a golf clinic for kids with special needs, and Paul always co-hosts it with one of our tour friends. It's been lots of folks, but here in town, it's Jordan Spieth every single year. And it's super near and dear to our hearts, and Jordan has a sister, Ellie, that we adore. I love you. I love you, Ellie. And Ellie has special needs. And so he recognizes and understands and knows. He just went to the World Special Olympics Games with Ellie. And Jordan gets it. And his parents are spectacular in what his mom, Chris, has done. And she's a mentor to me. I reach out to Chris when I mean, we're talking about, like, you hear me, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about, I am a Caddie's wife.
Right.
Who has a fantastic relationship with Jordan Spieth's mom about parenting. It's just not what it used to be anymore.
Yeah.
And she is spectacular. So we do the clinic, and Jordan helps here, and Webb did we added Charlotte as a city this year. We wanted to do it in cities that were special to us. So it was actually Mark Brazel's idea. So Brazel is the tournament director at the Wyndham Championship. For those of you who don't know, Mark is fantastic. And Mark's been there for a long, long time. When Isaiah was born, Mark came to Quail Hollow that May, and he asked to meet Isaiah. So he came into the Caddie area because, again, I couldn't take him out on the course. He had nowhere to go. So he was with me in the Caddie area, and Mark came in, and he met Isaiah, and he said, you know, we've always, like, what would you guys think if we did, like, a clinic for kids, maybe kids with Down syndrome or something at Wyndham? We've always wanted to do something like that. And I'm like, are you kidding? And he and I sat there for 10 or 15 minutes, talked about it, and he wasn't kidding because he followed up with me, and we started the All-Star Kids Clinic that August at the Wyndham Championship. And through our partnership with Wyndham, we're able to bring in 25 to 30 kids every single year. And we've had several players, and that one's kind of a rotating group because what's really fun is players have learned about it and they want to come, players and caddies.
I get in trouble when I don't ask Caddie. I got in trouble with Jimmy Roberts this past year. I had at least 7 other caddies come to me and go, why didn't we get an invite? Have we done something to offend you or something? Like, no, I don't think anybody has time or would want to come do it. And I have had 2 other players come up and say, why haven't I been in? I'm like, okay, I want everybody to come, but I don't know.
All-Star Kids Clinic, Wednesday of TPC, Tuesday of Wyndham, Tuesday of Quail Hollow, and bring all your people. Everybody's welcome. It's a welcome environment. Everybody can come.
It's for people who don't know about the Tesori Family Foundation, Isaiah has Down syndrome. And let me tell you something. This little boy, like, he got more supermodel credentials than a lot of supermodels.
Agreed.
I'm saying, like, I don't know a lot of people whose face has been at Times Square put up in the middle of New York City. Like, that's for real, for real. But I want you to go back to the beginning of the Tesori Family Foundation and how that got started.
Yeah, so Michelle and I started dating in 2008, baby, is that correct? And after about a year, she was already in the sports world and had just started looking at doing a business with foundations, whether it was going to be professional athletes, whether it was going to be people, of high net worth that could really make a difference, whatever it was, she wanted to start diving into that. And I was like, I've always wanted to do that. And she's like, well, we should. I was like, yeah, but we don't really have the ability to do it now. I don't want to do it till we could do it all out. How many times have we all said that?
Right.
And she's like, no, you start with one. Let's just start one. And if we can help one kid through our foundation, let's start with one. And the starfish story. And you can already tell we're about to turn this back over to her because she's prettier and smarter. And so we're going to let her go. If you want to talk about golf, I'll start chit-chatting with you. But so we started it. And at first for me, it took a little while for me to really feel like it was my baby. meaning that when I mean my, obviously our, but I mean my baby, it didn't feel to me, it felt to me like it was just an effort. I've never minded giving my money away. I hate giving my time away. And she knows that, and so I then should be looking for areas to give my time away. If the money doesn't mean anything, you want some? So, no, but
Has anyone ever heard me say no to money? Ever?
So as things started to move on, we used to do things at, I played golf at University of Florida, and we would go once a week to visit the senior center there and just spend an hour there.
Yeah.
I would play Yahtzee or bingo. Yahtzee was the one with this lady named Eileen, and we would go every week, and I really enjoyed it. I said, one day I want to be able to do that and help, because we're all probably going to end up there one day, and it's kind of sad, to be honest with you, because there's nothing wrong with these men and women. They're at that point where, sadly, their minds have started to go, their bodies have started to go, and maybe the kids don't live. Anyway. Well, then,
but it also means more to an actual person. It means more than getting a check or money. If someone who doesn't necessarily know them is willing to sit and spend time with them, that means so much more than any amount of money you could give to someone in that situation.
I agree, and I think part of that comes down to the fact, I think we all kind of forget sometimes that we could very easily be in the same situation of these people that we're helping, whether that's kids with special needs, whether that is a senior center, whether that is a center for a homeless coalition, where you've got men, women, you've got children that are homeless, or whether or not you've got maybe even going to some correctional facilities. Whatever that is, we're not very far away from being in one of those situations, or at least knowing someone deeply that's in those situations. So when Isaiah was born in 2014 with Down syndrome, obviously very quickly we were given a direction for the foundation. And that is, if you look back now, where the foundation really started taking off was then. And I'm going to share my part of the story of when, for me, I truly realized that we have a family on the PGA Tour. I'd always heard that whole family, yeah, whatever. You players might have a family, and maybe us caddies or whatever. But
our part of the family lives outside in the doghouse.
Yes, exactly.
Your part, that's Scott Van Pelt, outside dogs.
Outside dogs, that's it. Absolutely. Yep. And I used to feel that way. But in 2014, when Isaiah was born, there was a lot of complications. They ended up, a lot of them being false complications. They didn't know he had Down syndrome. They didn't know he was, he was not a prenatal diagnosis. Is that right, baby? Okay. So we didn't really know what the story was, but obviously I couldn't go to work those 2 weeks. And the first one was out in Maui. And we were going through these struggles at home. We didn't know if he was going to live. We didn't know if he was going to spend months, even a year in the NICU. We had no idea. And Weber called me and was like, Paul, I've never seen anything like this. I was like, what? He's like, every single player, every single caddy asks me every day, Paul, I'm having to play in 10 or 15 minutes every morning, and I'm getting emotional to talk about it because I can't get my work done because everybody wants to know an update. It's like, you got to be kidding me. And then I turn on, obviously, TV, and Kevin Streelman has written Isaiah's initials, IT, on the back of his hat. I still have that upstairs. Teddy Scott, who was caddying for Weber that week, did the same thing on his hat. Zach Johnson won the golf tournament. He's on the edge of the green, and he's just won. And they said, hey, so tell us about the round. He goes, before I do, I just want to let everybody know my hearts and prayers go out to the Tesori family. I still have every single one of those interviews still on our TV because I go back and I got to remind myself. And then I didn't go back to work until Riviera, which was later that year. And the first person I saw, I was out walking the course by myself, and it was Bubba Watson. And I was walking up the 18th hole, and him and Teddy were on number 3 or 4. They crisscross. 1 to 3. Yep. And Bubba's on 3 green. I'm walking up 18. And I hear, Paul, and I turn around. Bubba goes running through the bunker. Now, of course, he gets through the bunker. Turns out, Teddy, you get that. Just to be funny in his own right. But, for those of you that don't know Bubba, I know that, he's probably deserves some of the things he's gotten, but that boy has an enormous heart. And he gave me a huge hug. He said, I want to let you know that me and Webb have talked. We're going to start a trust for Isaiah, and we've both put $10,000 in it apiece that you guys can use throughout his lifetime and all this stuff. And it was just, and every person I saw the same way. Texts, phone calls. I still have them on my phone. I haven't deleted them. Sometimes it's the only time I've ever heard from them because they really don't care that much about me. They love my wife and my now son so much that, you know, I get credited that a little bit. It's almost like the gospel. I get credited that for her beauty and brilliance, and my son's just handsome love. I get credited that sometimes, and that's okay. I'll take that. And so for me, it was the first time I realized it was a family, and Tesori Family Foundation in my mind was truly born that day. And now it's grown to, I think we're going to go over $1 million in gifts and cash services this year, right, baby? It looks like we are, yeah. Which for a little Caddie get together has been amazing, and I now get way more out of it than the people that we help.